Okay, you are now listening to the E and J podcast. I'm the J part. I'm joined by my co-host, the E part. And this is the first episode. I think we're going to call this the test run. Because,
we'll call it the test run.
Yeah, this is the test run / tentative first episode. It's going up either way. It's going online. Whether it's the official first episode or just the test run because we just fall apart here, which is very likely. It is what it is.
Gotta make it work.
Gotta make it work. If you're here because you found it randomly, thank you for joining. If you're here because you've seen some of the boxing videos I've done, you're wondering what this is, I just want to let you know this is not at all a boxing podcast. So you can stay. I would appreciate it. You can get the hell out. That's fine by me. But this is not a boxing podcast. We're going to talk sports. It's not just a sports podcast. This is a whatever we feel like talking about podcast. It's probably going to end up being a mix of sports, entertainment, hip-hop, different. A lot of what's going on, music, whatever we feel like talking about really is what it's going to be about. So to get into our first topic, we're both basketball fans. I'm a really heavy playoff basketball fan. I hardly watch the regular season. So if you're a diehard basketball fan, yeah, shame me, but it is what it is. I thoroughly enjoy playoff basketball. Out of all the sports, right? I mean, boxing is obviously my favorite sport, but boxing doesn't have playoffs, so take boxing out.
Right.
My favorite sport after boxing, NFL. Then we'll go NBA. But when it comes to playoffs, and I even enjoy playoff baseball, I feel like there's nothing quite like playoff basketball.
I would say that playoff basketball is exciting, but there's a lot of sedentary action to it.
Yeah.
Besides, my personal favorite is March Madness. I love March Madness.
Okay.
Anything can happen. It's an exciting time.
Yeah.
And I can watch it on my phone because they have the March Madness app. But playoff basketball is exciting. And I've been keeping up to date with all the playoff teams. So we're going to talk about a little bit of the finals and then just sort of give our opinions about what we think going forward. And currently, right now, the Cavaliers are down to the Golden State Warriors 2-0.
Yeah, we're recording this actually Wednesday, the day of Game 3. Now, by the time this goes up, since I'm taking a little trip, the series might have already ended, possibly. I don't think it'll go that way, but it's possible that the series will have already ended. Regardless, these are our thoughts going into Game 3. As my co-host said, it's 2-0 right now, Golden State Warriors. And my question is, we talked the other day about this. I saw online a dude predicting that the Golden State Warriors would sweep the Cavaliers, and I said, I don't know about that. It looks like that might be reality. Do you think the Cavs win any game, and if so, do they start tonight, or do they go down 3-0 tonight?
A lot of things have to happen. A lot of things have to happen or come together for the Cavaliers. What I will say is that a blessing in disguise occurred when Kevin Love got ruled out for Game 3 tonight. He got ruled out with a concussion. He tried hard to make his way back and be fit for Game 3, but the medics ruled him out. So, with that being said, Tyronn Lue has a plethora of options. He can either put Mozgov in and try the formula that was somewhat successful last year when they ran up against the Warriors, or start to move around the pieces of Channing Frye, Richard Jefferson, and Mo Williams. I say that with being down 2-0, you have to give those guys a shot, especially Timofey Mozgov, because last year it was really effective, like having him in the paint, and even when the Golden State did their high pick and roll, he's a good enough defender where he can stay on the 3, 4, and 5 and not get beat right to the paint. With Kevin Love, he just hasn't been effective, plain and simple, these past 2 games. He acts like a shooting guard. He doesn't want to get in for rebounds, and he had maybe 1 or 2 games in the finals where he had maybe a double-digit rebound game. Mm-hmm. I forget what game it was, but he had a high number of rebounds, maybe 8 or 9. But those were sort of long rebounds where anybody could have easily gotten a rebound instead. He's been shooting threes more a lot. He's been shooting threes more than he's been shooting 2 like regular field goals. He hasn't been getting to the paint. When he does get to the paint, he's either getting stuffed or it's not working out for him. So they have to rotate it around. Timofey, I will put him up against Bogut. Not saying he will get the best of Bogut every time, but he gives you a better option going forward, and he gives you a bigger lineup, obviously. The three isn't falling right now, but I say you give Channing Frye a starting role this time. So if I was a coach, tonight I would go 1, Kyrie Irving, 2, Iman Shumpert, 3, LeBron James, 4, Channing Frye, 5, Timofey Mozgov. What do you think about that?
Okay, so we're writing off J.R. Smith.
We're scratching him.
We're scratching from the starting line.
I'm not saying that he's not coming off the bench. Same thing with Tristan Thompson. They're still getting involved with the game, but it spaces out the floor because LeBron, he's had this inability right now where he can't get his jump shot going. Mm-hmm. Kevin Love hasn't been effective, and you got to feed from the post. And once you work your way into the post, then everything opens up. So Channing Frye can hit the 3. Kyrie Irving can hit the 3. Iman Shumpert can play defense, and he's a little bit streaky. He can get a 3-point going if he needs to. But you have at least 3 guys on the floor that can create their own shot. Timofey in the post, LeBron James on the drive wherever he wants to go, and Kyrie off the dribble. So then that sets it up for the other 2 people, Iman Shumpert and Channing Frye, either for the 3 or a quick little jump shot mid-range, and then that builds going forward. And then you also have 3 guys that play defense really well. Timofey Mozgov, LeBron James can cover anybody on the floor if he chooses to, and Iman Shumpert when he's on, he's on. But they gotta shake something up because you're at risk of getting blown out again.
This is true. Let me say this. I'm with you on JR. You have to take him out of there. These 2 games, because I get obsessed with it and I watch everything like everybody has to say. Stephen A. Smith has been tearing J.R. Smith a new one, talking about 2 games. He's attempted 9 shots right through these first 2 games, made 3. I don't know, maybe 1 3 in there, maybe. But I think mostly the other 2 are definitely 2s, maybe all of them are 2s. Only attempted 3 shots. Only attempted 9, made 3. He's got to go because he's not the best defensively. He's not Kevin Love bad. He's not Kyrie bad. He's actually been hustling a bit on defense, but he doesn't give the defense Iman does. Yeah. And if he isn't going to produce them offensively, what the hell is he in there for?
He's in a cold streak right now.
Yeah, so Iman, he might not give you the best offense, but he's always going to give you style defense. And like you said, if you leave him open or if you can create the shot for him, he can hit the 3. He can, and he can get hot with it too. So I like that. They definitely stand a better chance with Iman in the game. Mozgov, I mean, look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Last year, when they were winning games, he was in there. Now, that's not to say that you throw him in and they're going to win automatically. But Kevin Love has been playing like a shooting guard, you're right. And has it really been helping? No, he did. I think he had a solid first game. 17 points, I believe. I think he had a double-double. I think he might have had 10 or 11 rebounds. Now, like you said, long rebounds, granted. But he didn't have a bad first game. Second game, whatever. And even with that good first game, will he be missed? Probably not. Right?
I don't think so. But just going back to a point that you said, Kevin Love won't be missed he won't be missed immediately in the lineup if you put Timofey in, just because they need rebounds. And going back a series when they played Toronto, when they were getting beat by Toronto, Bismack Biyombo was tearing up the offensive glass. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you need a big body to come in there and do it. Like LeBron, he's playing good, but he's wearing down. So you could even see from yesterday, he didn't put up great shots for LeBron. He didn't have a LeBron-like game. I think he ended up with 19 points, but that was like a low or a kind of subdued 19 points. You need to be able to secure the offensive board because if you're going to win, you got to have rebounds and you got to create turnovers. And the Warriors turn over the ball a lot, but you have to be able to convert those turnovers into scoring opportunities. Without rebounds, they're just going to continue to kill them on the offensive board the same way the Raptors created that formula that made it successful for them. So I'd say try it, and I don't think they have another legitimate big man with the departure of Anderson Varejao, but you got to try something. You gotta like shore up your defense. And with Kevin Love and JRM right now, the shots aren't falling, and they don't have that great. There's not a lot of defensive emphasis between both of them. So you got to try something new. You got to slow the game down because the Warriors are going to keep running all over you unless you stop it.
We agree on that. And not only what the other benefit of not having Kevin Love and having Mozgov in, these past few games we've seen definitely more so than in the Thunder series, Golden State has gotten a lot of points in the paint. Against the Thunder, it seemed like they were hardly getting jack in the paint. Everything was coming from the outside, mostly jumpers. But they've been scoring like crazy in the paint. Harrison Barnes has been taking it inside on Kyrie. You've had Iguodala getting more points in the paint. You've had Draymond going for the basket more. So Mozgov will definitely help to stop some of that. I like to go back to a point you made about LeBron. I heard the other day in saying that, he hasn't been taking the best shots. He hasn't been having quite the finals that we've seen him have. I believe he's had in game 2, I think he only had 19, but he got pulled early. Game 1, did he have 23 or 26?
I forget offhand
too, but I think it might have been 26. Solid numbers, but not enough from what he needs. I was listening to Colin Cowherd the other day, and he said he thinks that long gone are the days where LeBron is going to put up 40 points, 44 points, 36 points like he did last year. Do you think that might be true? I mean, he's been in the league, even though he's still young, he's been in the league since high school, right?
Yes.
For a long-ass time. The wear and tear, over your body does take effect. Are the days of LeBron getting 35, 40-point games done? Or at least the finals of him getting that done since this is a high-level competition? Or could he still do it?
I don't think that it's done because you seen last year when push comes to shove, he averaged almost a triple-double in the finals. Yeah. And I wouldn't say that they're long gone. He just needs help. It's just more evident now that he needs more help from his supporting cast. Because in my own personal life, I'm very critical of LeBron, but I still appreciate his greatness. And, you see when he went to the finals against the Spurs with the Cavaliers, he got swept, but he carried that team there.
Yeah.
For all intents and purposes, he still had Wade and he still had Bosh, but he carried a lot of those teams that he went to the finals with there. The same with these past 2 seasons. When he's come back to the Cavaliers, he's essentially carried them there. Through circumstances last year with Kevin Love being injured and Kyrie being injured, he didn't have the same supporting cast, but he carried them as far as he could, averaging a triple-double. Now it's just as your body, Father Time is undefeated, and it's starting to catch up to him. Not saying that he couldn't still put up a 30 or 40-point game, but they're not going to be as consistent. So I will agree with that, but I won't say that he's too far out of his prime to not consistently out of a 7-game series to put up maybe 3 or 4 games with a 30-point game, or at least between the 25 and the 30-point game. Yeah.
No, that could. I think that's a very good point. I think he definitely could, but we'll see. I mean, it's just a different beast. It's been stated time and time again, so it's getting old now, but it's true. When you look at the paths these teams took to this point, Golden State having to go through the Thunder, right? Just the Thunder alone. You didn't even need to look at anybody else necessarily versus the Cavs going through whom? They went through Toronto, and who before Toronto?
It was Atlanta.
Atlanta, that's right. By comparison, I mean, you take Atlanta and Toronto, add them both up. Do they equal what the Thunder were in the semi-conference finals?
It's funny because Toronto wasn't having the greatest year at all. They were having a solid year,
right.
But they kind of flew under the radar, as do other good teams in the West when it comes to the Spurs, when it comes to the Clippers, whoever you may have. But it finally all came together during the finals, and they started to get on a tear, and they finally found themselves, and they were up 3-1, and it kind of fell apart. Because what made the Thunder successful is that when they were able to secure rebounds through Enes Kanter, Steven Adams, and Serge Ibaka. And they were able to more or less take Steph's legs from under him. The first game, if I'm correct, when Russell Westbrook played defense on him, in the fourth quarter he went 1 for 6, including from beyond the arc. So they had Steph running around playing defense, and then they had Russell Westbrook on him, so they didn't allow the switch. And even when they had to switch, when the Thunder had the ball, they would switch so that Steph Curry had to play defense on Russell Westbrook. Once he switches off Kyrie Irving, who else is he playing defense on? Because they're not going to put him up against LeBron. That 2 guard is their weak spot. JR isn't going to have that same productivity as Russell Westbrook.
Right.
And you see that, like, Steph shooting the lights out, Draymond is killing, Harrison Barnes is emerging, Iguodala, they're having solid bench play. And then the Cavaliers don't have that same bench play at the moment. It seemed like they had it all throughout the regular season, all through the playoffs, and then it just kind of fell apart the same way it did last year. I don't think that it's too far removed for them to have a turnaround, but granted, this is a couple hours before Game 3, and then when this comes out, we don't know how it ends up. But it just seems like with them falling apart, they have to find some offense from somewhere, and that's why I posed this question to you.
Okay.
Kyrie Irving, he's been struggling a little bit. Do you think that you go with a backup of Dellavedova for defense and his sketchy offense at best?
Yeah.
Or do you give Mo Williams a shot?
Oh, man. I mean, see, all right, so let me say this. Let me start with this. They talked about this, and I don't know if you heard it, but during the Thunder series with the Warriors, and I know we're talking about the Cavs here, but just to compare, there was talk when they went down 3-1, maybe even when they went down 2-1, but definitely when they went down 3-1, of because Steph is struggling, the league MVP, do you maybe sit him in the start of the game and play Livingston in his stead, right? That sounds freaking crazy, right? No matter how much Steph Curry's struggling, he's Steph Curry. You play Steph Curry. Similar thing here. It sounds crazy to sit Kyrie Irving for an older Mo Williams, I'm sorry, not Lou Williams, a completely different player. An older Mo Williams and Dellavedova, I'm not going to hold you, man. I can't stand the guy. Not that he's not a solid player. He is a good defender. Offense, first of all, his face. This is nothing basketball related. The dude's ugly as hell. His face annoys me. For whatever reason, I kind of want to kick it. And it just bothers me. Everything about him bothers me. I feel like he has a face you want to punch and kick. I don't like Dellavedova. That's besides the point. Just had to get that out of my system. Do you start Dellavedova maybe over Kyrie for better defense? I don't know, man, because Kyrie is liable. Granted, he is struggling. He's liable to get hot at any time. And his defense is non-existent, sure. But, all right, Dellavedova comes in and gives you better defense. Does he give you much better at the point? Offensively, does he create shots as well?
Well, going back, so when there was talk about benching Steph Curry for Sean Livingston, that also came when Steph was injured. So they were saying there were reports that he wasn't 100% healthy, that his knee was bothering him. You still had the firepower of Draymond Green. You still had Klay Thompson. He was kind of iffy in that series and kind of disappeared for games. But like when push came to shove, he came back and he delivered. You still had Bogut, and then you still had the bench coming off. You still had people coming off the bench that were fairly productive.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Cavaliers, I think that not even just for defensive purposes, but just a change of scenery. Like, Mo Williams is a proven starter in this league.
That's true.
And he has the potential to lead. He might not have the same productivity in terms of scoring, but he can lead an offense, and he can run an offense. He might not have the best defense, and he might have lost a step, but I still feel like he should be given it a shot at this moment when Kyrie is struggling, and he's struggling bad. And Dellavedova, also the same. I think you work them into rotation. Like you have to trust your bench, and when your starters aren't producing, you have to give it a shot. So, do I suggest that Dellavedova starts tonight? No. If I had to give a nod to any of those three, my personal opinion is I would come off with Mo Williams and then have Kyrie come off the bench at the 5 or 6 minute mark of the first quarter. Just to get Mo Williams involved in the game and then see how that translates. If it doesn't work out, then fine. Then you just go with Kyrie for the duration of the game and sort of fix your rotation off of that. Mm-hmm. But with the offensive struggles that he's having right now, I think you give the nod to somebody else just to start, just as a mix-up, just to generate something. Because if you're down 2-0, what's the worst that it could do? You go down 3-0, like people have already counted you out. And statistically, like if they go on to lose, a lot will be made about LeBron and the Cavaliers. But as an asterisk next to it, they did lose to statistically the best team in NBA history. So why not go out and take some chances?
I agree with taking chances. All right, look, this is what I'll say. Because you asked the question, answer the question directly. Do you sit Kyrie and start somebody else? I'm going to, as my house phone comes off, I should have remembered that part. So we're going to edit this out. But I'm going to grab it. Yeah, we're editing that, my house phone ringing, because the ringer is actually a song, and I don't know whether that joint has copyright. And yo, if we left it in, can you imagine? We left it in, and my house ringtone, the ringtone from my house phone, gets the video taken down because of copyright or whatever the case is with the music. That would be hilariously tragic. Yeah. But so getting back to what we were talking about, to answer my co-host question, let me tell you this, E. Me personally, I can see that you just made some great points. And I agree with what you're saying. I don't sit Kyrie. That's me. I don't sit Kyrie. But I do like your idea. And if you are going to start somebody else, I agree with you. You start Mo Williams. You don't start Dellavedova. Let Mo Williams get most of that time as a starter. Put Dellavedova in whenever you need to give him a break. Would you put Kyrie in as a 2? Did you say that?
If I go...
Because J.R. ain't doing nothing. Iman's going to give you great defense, but ain't going to give you the offense. If you need the offense and you want to keep Mo or Dellavedova for his defense at point, you maybe put Kyrie in as a 2? Because he can get you that offense.
He can. But if I'm staying... So when we first started the podcast, I said that I would have Kyrie, Iman, LeBron at the 3, Channing Frye at the 4, and Mozgov at the 5. If I was to bench Kyrie... Mm-hmm. And I was to give somebody else a chance to run the offense, I go Mo Williams 1,
okay,
Iman Shumpert 2, LeBron at 3, Fry at 4, Mozgov at 5. I don't let Irving take that number 2 side, because then he feels the need that he has to perform at that shooting guard spot. Point guard, you just kind of run the offense, and the 2 guard sort of more or less shoots at will depending on the opportunities that present themselves.
Yes.
So if he's already struggling and you put him at a traditional role where you're expected to score and he's still not scoring, his confidence either goes down or it's just you're getting nothing from 2 positions at that point.
Right.
So I think that you leave him on the bench and you let Mo Williams come in and then build his confidence back up. Does that shake his confidence? It might, but I think if this is a regular season game, there's no thought about it. Like I would put Mo Williams in. Like, what is there to lose?
Yeah.
Because it's a final, there's more thought that goes into it, and you want your best 5 out there ideally. I still think that you give it a shot. Like, what do you have to lose?
No, I agree. And you know what? Who would have predicted that Sean Livingston would drop 20 in the first game? Who would have predicted that for, I think, into the second half of game 2, what's his name? Leandro? Is that the first name? Yeah, Leandro. I was going to say Leandro. No, Leandro Barbosa would be 10 of 10, I believe.
I don't think
was it 10-10 or was it 5? Definitely 5-5.
Yeah, I didn't look at the statistics on.
I think it was 5-5 the first game, and I think going into the second half it was 10-10.
He produced
first
more,
2 games.
He produced more than Steph, and he produced more than Clay. I don't know if he had the same number as Sean Livingston, where he produced either equal or better than both of those combined, but he did have a better game than both Steph and Clay individually.
Right, you can't predict that.
Yeah.
You can't predict that Livingston would have that first game and that Barbosa would, into the second game, carry that momentum from the first game. The first shot he missed this finals was a 3 he had to jack up because the clock was running down. And it was like 30 feet out. It was like the deepest 3. It was an air ball, but he just had to throw it up. That was the first shot he missed. Before that, Barbosa, perfect. You can't predict that. You can't predict Livingston. You never know what's going to come off your bench. You've got a fair point. Kyrie isn't getting it done for whatever reason. Like I said, he's liable to get hot any time, but maybe you put Mo in and Mo gives you that spark that you need. And you are going to get that defense with Mozgov. Mozgov proved last year you can get the offense too. Now, he's been sitting for a while. He may be a little cold. We'll see that tonight, how well he's able to produce tonight. But you throw him into the fire, I feel like he has the tenacity where he can produce. And you're getting better defense. Now, weaving our way kind of back toward the original question of, do the Cavs win tonight? Let's go with your starting 5. Or ideally, who you think's going to start? They're probably starting Kyrie, right?
If I'm going based off of how I think the series is going, I think Kyrie starts 1. Mm-hmm. I definitely think JR doesn't start tonight. So
you think they're going to start Iman?
I think they start Iman at 2.
Okay.
LeBron at 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go Tristan at 4.
And Mozgov at 5. Yeah.
And if they don't go Tristan at 4, Mozgov at 5, I think Channing is 4, and either Mozgov or Tristan at 5.
I agree. I do think they're going to sit JR. Mm-hmm. I do think that they'll go Tristan and Mozgov in at the same time because Fry hasn't given them much this finals. He was great, had some really great moments rather against Toronto, but in this finals he hasn't really done anything. So I don't know if they're going to be confident enough to start him.
But do you think it's based off of lack of opportunity or lack of just shots not dropping?
Maybe a little bit of both.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit of both. I mean, he certainly hasn't had the opportunity because they've been getting blown out. Yeah. So, if you do something in garbage time, I don't think Tyronn Lue's really looking at that and saying, oh, I'm taking that into account for the next game. He's going to ride with whomever he rides with. I think we could both agree he's been, in this series, riding with Kevin Love a little too long. He probably should have started Mozgov. That's tough to say, though, because hindsight's 20/20, because Kevin Love did have a solid Game 1. But
a solid Game 1, but this is something that, not just with us, but in our personal lives, we've been talking about. This is something, I'm a firm believer in Mozgov just because of what they gave up for him. Yes, he came in under David Blatt, and yes, Tyronn Lue might have a different system that doesn't utilize Mozgov as much, but anything that you're giving up a first-round pick for, and that's proven to be somewhat consistent in a final setting or in a playoff setting, you got to give a chance to. And yes, Kevin Love was hot, but then Kevin Love is also injury prone. It seems like every other time he's either on a bike during a timeout or last year was a shoulder, this year it's a concussion and a multitude of other injuries. But you go with something that is still proven. And Mozgov is proven in that setting to be effective. If he was a complete waste, fine, whatever, send him on the bench, who cares? But since he's been proven, he's put up numbers, he's been more of a help than a hindrance to LeBron in that setting, why not give him an opportunity?
Okay. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And he's going to get his opportunity not because Tyronn Lue is saying, let's make a change, out of necessity, because Kevin Love is hurt. So, but hey, like you said, blessing in disguise. Maybe that's what they need. All right, now back to the 100% now, full circle to the original question. Do the Cavaliers get swept, or do they win, and do they win tonight? Do they win, meaning do they win any games? Do they win tonight? Do they somehow win the series?
Do they get swept? No, I don't think they get swept. These first 2 games have been horrendous in terms of like what's happened. I do think they eventually find a way to turn it around. You don't become the Eastern Conference champions for nothing. I think it comes tonight because they're at home. They had that crowd behind them. I think they get one game. I think the series goes to 5. Okay. I think the Warriors still win at home, and then if it goes back to their place, then they get that first game back at home. So I think it goes 4-1 to the Warriors.
Okay, 4-1. I think that's a solid prediction. I'm inclined to agree. I won't be too surprised if it repeats 4-2 like last year. Obviously in different order, because they broke the first 2 games last year, even. And this year, Golden State's just demolished them the first 2 games. But yeah, I agree. I don't think it'll be a sweep. If it is, wow. I mean, just wow if it is. But then again, we are talking about, like you pointed out earlier, statistically the best team this league has ever seen. So I'm agreeing with you. I think 4-1. Won't be surprised if it goes 4-2. I do think Golden State Warriors win the series. As for tonight, I'll be completely forward. I'm a Golden State fan. I really like Stephen Clay. I really like Draymond Green, dirty as he may be. I still like that passion, that competitiveness, and that tenacity that he has. I'm going gut. Cavaliers win tonight. I want the Warriors to win, though, and I would not at all be surprised, considering how the first 2 games went, if the Warriors do win tonight and push it to 3-0.
Yeah. And then if the series goes 3-0, that's all she wrote, because there haven't been many teams, if any, that have come back from a 3-0 deficit.
Yeah.
None that I can think of offhand.
I mean, look, if they go down to 0-3, the Cavs do, and they can somehow manage to pull off a 4-0 sweep after that, I mean, that's one hell of an accomplishment, because
that means they deserve it. That means they won it. It had to be a complete meltdown from
100%
from the Warriors.
100%.
You never know.
It would be absolutely a meltdown, but you would also have to credit the Cavs, because that would be incredible. But just ain't no way in hell that's happening.
There's no shot. There's no shot that if they go down tonight, they have a 4-game sweep. But we also, it wasn't the same circumstance, but we also said the same thing about the Thunder being up 3-1, and was like, oh, the series. A lot of people had the series pegged out as being done and over with, and we all see how that turned out.
No doubt. So there goes our thoughts on the series as a whole and how we think tonight's going to go. But to stay with this team, with this series, Golden State looks like they're going to win. Let's say they do. And, because, we're really going off on a limb there saying that'll happen. But let's say Golden State wins. LeBron is now 2-5, should that happen in the finals. They've been saying, like, leading into this finals, the story was the Cavs didn't have Kevin Love healthy. The Cavs didn't have Kyrie healthy. LeBron now has arguably his best team going to the finals. They swept through the postseason, obliterating everybody. People were saying that even better than the Miami Heat teams he had, who he won 2 finals with. This might be his best team going into a finals. Is this his best team going to a finals? Was this team better off last year with, at the very least, Love going down? So you had Mozgov in there with his great defense. Because I don't think you can make the case that they're that much better off without Kyrie, even with the way he's performed in the first 2 games. But was it actually the case that the team was better last year because other people stepped up and Mozgov's better defensively? Or are the Warriors just that good? Or just is the supporting cast of LeBron not up to par? But what are your thoughts on that? Is this the best team LeBron's had going into the finals? Or was the team he had last year, with those 2 stars hurt, better than this team?
This is a tricky question. This is because let's start off by saying that LeBron is going to take undue criticism, a lot of undue hardship, just because if he goes 2-5 in a final series.
No doubt.
A lot will be made about that. I depending on whether you say one way or another that this team was the greatest, I don't think I can make a personal opinion about it. But I will say that this team this year was not as battle tested before the finals. So they swept, even though they played Detroit, they were close series. They swept them. They played Atlanta, close series, chippy series, still destroyed them. They were exposed by the Raptors, but also their tendency towards consistency got them through. With the Raptors being at the team that they are, Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan were not consistent. They had great games at home, and then once they left home, it was like looking at two players that you pick up off the streets. Like they were non-existent. They didn't put up what they needed to do. But when they were at home, you saw how you could expose the Cavaliers. You exposed them through rebounding, and you exposed them off the pick and roll. Bismack Biyombo is literally going to steal money from the Raptors or whoever he gets money from because of this series. Because of his offensive outpouring and his defensive outpouring on the glass, he was able to more or less keep them in the series. I forget what game it was where he had 26 rebounds or something.
That was the first game they won. So game 3?
It might have been game 3.
Yeah.
Whatever game that it was, they were at home.
Yeah.
He had 26 or something rebounds, and they just exposed the Cavaliers, and they showed that they have a weak front court, and if Tristan isn't grabbing rebounds, there's nobody else that's going to do it. Because LeBron can't be up around the 3-point line or guarding between a 16 and 18-foot jump shot and go and be able to track back down and get a rebound. Tristan Thompson, for whatever, he seems like he's a little lethargic at times. Bismack was just killing him on the boards, and he was killing Kevin Love on the boards. And that was their formula. So the Warriors having bigger bodies, they've utilized what the Raptors couldn't do and added their consistency over the course of the past 3 years to just come out and flat out smack the Cavaliers in the mouth. Do they have a better team than they did last year? Cavaliers. Does this team, to answer your question, have a better... Is it more consistent than last year's team? I guess I would say, like, throughout the playoffs and with everything, with the extensions of, like, Kevin Love and him coming into a little bit of his own and settling down a little bit more, and then Tristan Thompson getting his money and being more efficient during the regular season, I would say that, that up to this point they have been better, but because of not being able to be battle-tested, and it's kind of, with them both being non-existent pretty much, you would rather them both be, you never wish injury on anybody, but you rather wish that they would both just sit down because they're pretty ineffective even when they're on the court. And look, this is from somebody who has not, I'll never be able to compete at that NBA level. So you respectfully say all of this and saying, like, these are still some of the greatest athletes in the world. But at the same time, they just do not have it right now. And I just don't think that they went through a season battle-tested enough to compete or be where the Warriors stand, or to be able to stand where the Warriors are at right now.
So even if it's hard to say whether this team is better or worse than their finals team last year, we can conceive from what you said that because they had a rougher road to the finals and the playoffs last year, it served them better.
Yeah.
Indeed. And let's not overlook the fact that, because I know it's so easy to criticize LeBron and say 2-5 and all these other things, and he should be more aggressive, he should be this, he should be that. And there is some truth to that. I'm not going to try to deny that, but that's the easy way out. Yeah. We have to concede at the same time, this team, this Warriors team, that is also better than they were last year. I mean, What was it, 73-9? Yeah, 73-9.
73-9.
The record, and by a game, sure, but still, the new record. I mean, who could have seen that? Who saw them coming back down from 3-1 against the Thunder to get here? This is another beast. This is entirely another beast nobody saw coming. You can't plan for that. It's hard to predict that. We all predicted, that they would be a playoff team, no doubt, that they would. Most people predicted they would get to the Western Conference Finals. Nobody saw the season they had coming. What can you do? What can you do? I mean, the Cavaliers are going up against a whole nother beast. And when you don't have all your superstars competing at their highest level against this team with this depth and this confidence and this just momentum that they've built up throughout the entire season, it's not going to end well.
You got to want it. And right now, the Cavaliers just don't seem like they want it. And I looked at it, looking online on ESPN and seeing some of the post-game reactions, especially from Stephen A. Smith, and he was very adamant in saying that the Cavaliers just flat out gave up, and they looked like they had been defeated already in the third quarter. So, regardless of if you're down 15, 30, or 5, you still gotta want to fight. And if if what he's saying is true, that they gave up or they had the feeling that they had already given up in the third quarter, no matter how good you are, it's hard to combat that. Because once you've taken yourself out of the fight, it's over.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So that's going to wrap up our basketball and finals talk for right now. We're going to get back into something a little different, into a little hip-hop, and then something else kind of hip-hop based. But yeah, right now we're going to take a quick break, let y'all hear some music real quick, and then we'll get right back into it. All right, and we're rolling. Welcome back, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, most likely gentlemen, to the E&J podcast. So, coming off the break, we're just talking basketball. Now we're going to get into a little bit of hip-hop. Now, me and my co-host, if you listen to last segment, you can probably tell on many topics we see eye to eye. On many. On some we don't. And hip-hop is one that we see eye to eye on a lot. Sometimes we don't, though. So I came up with an idea, which I did not tell him, so he has no idea what I'm about to do. But my friend, I took to the internet and I researched terrible rap lyrics. So what I did was I wrote a few down. Some of them I have the artist for, some I don't. I really don't care about the artist personally.
Okay.
I wrote down 2 sets, right? So first lyric, second lyric type thing.
Okay.
Could be one line, could be a couple lines. I'm going to read them out to you, and I want you to tell me which is the worst. Now, considering that we're talking about rap right now, if you're listening to this at work or you're listening around people who are a little sensitive to profanity, you might want to put your headphones in or pause and play this part later because I'm reading rap lyrics, there's going to be some curse words every now and then. So this next part is not safe for work. Hopefully you don't care about that shit and we can get right into it. But are you ready for this?
I'm always ready.
Okay. Here's our first set. Got a phone in jail. Call that a cell phone. Or eating Asian pussy. All I need is sweet and sour sauce.
Yo.
So which one is worse? I'll repeat them. Got a phone in jail. Call that a cell phone. Or eating Asian pussy. Need some sweet and sour sauce. Or rather, all I need is sweet and sour sauce.
I'm gonna be honest, like, that second one kind of bad, just cause, like, obviously, like, you and rap, depending on who the artist is, they're not gonna be politically correct, but, like, can't just talk about eating Asian box and then be like, y'all need sweet and sour sauce. Like, the got a phone in jail, like, a cell phone, that's kind of funny.
It's so corny, though.
I fuck with it. It's funny.
Oh
it's
God.
funny. But I will take the second one as being the worst one.
I'm torn. We have got a phone in jail, call that a cell phone. It's so corny. But, like you said, eating Asian pussy, all I need is sweet and sour sauce. No, you don't. I'm with you. The second one is worst. By the way, I don't know who the first one was. Apparently, and this might not be true, but according to the person online, the second one is from Kanye West. The
really?
Asian pussy, yeah. Apparently.
Is it new Kanye West?
I have no idea.
If it's old Kanye West, I'll change my answer.
Hey man, look. Now you know firsthand, probably few people out in the world think Kanye West is a bigger dildo than me. But those first 2-3 albums, definitely the first two. Yeah, maybe not the third as much. Oh, it was still good, but those first two albums, classics.
Graduation changed my life.
Yeah, have to concede that. Those first two albums are classics. Okay, moving on. Here's the second one. When we had sex, I was in the Mercedes. And I ain't crazy. But if that's my baby, then we're gonna have to name that little baby Mercedes. Or, almost drowned in her pussy, so I swam to her butt. It's east side, we in this bitch. Wish a nigga would like a tree in this bitch.
That second one is Old Wayne.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to have to take that Old Wayne as being the better of the two. Can't talk about naming your kid Mercedes because you bombing the Mercedes. Like, you can't take that. Oh, like, your kid going to get clowned for life. Just because, like, if that story ever comes out, you be like, oh, my name Mercedes because my mom and dad had sex in his Mercedes or her Mercedes.
True enough.
So I'm gonna go with that first one as being the worst.
Fair enough. I mean, but look, I know you like Wayne, and Wayne has some good stuff. I don't like Wayne, but I'm not gonna. Yeah, he has some like lines. He has some songs. Fair
Wayne.
Enough, and most people will agree that Old Wayne is a completely different beast. But almost drowned in her pussy, so I swam to her butt. Okay, I'm kind of mad at it, but whatever. We'll let it live for now. My biggest problem: wish a nigga would like a tree in this bitch. No, it doesn't work. I know what he's going for. It's not that I don't understand the bar.
The bar is wish a nigga woods.
Yeah, because trees made out of wood. It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Just hating.
I'm not hating it. It does not make sense. It doesn't actually make sense. Again, I get what he's going for. It doesn't make sense. If you need to think about why it doesn't make sense, really. But anyway, moving on to the third one. Okay. These niggas say they killed me and kidnapped my daughter. I ain't even got no daughter. They mad because I'm a baller. The second one. Without order, nothing exists. Without chaos, nothing evolves. Now get on your knees so I can stick this gun in your mouth.
Yo, the first one is definitely the worst. Like, the second one, like,
starts out kind of strong, right?
The second one, like, it starts off ill, and like, I really enjoyed it. But then he was just like, yo, I'm gonna kill you. Like, all right, like, then you just like, all right, you up the creek without a paddle on that one. But the first one was like, yo, they're gonna kill my daughter, but I ain't got no daughter. Like, so whose kid did they kidnap?
Shit.
And why are you not concerned about whose kid did they kidnap?
I didn't even think about that. Whose kid did they kidnap?
How do you answer that call? Like, yo, we got your daughter. You be like, no, I ain't got none. So like, you just, there's like no active concern about who kid this is. Like, do you just drop them back off? Like, there's a lot of confusion with that, and like, that's too much thinking for me. So I'm gonna go with the first one being the worst.
Oh man, that is a great point. I did not, when I read that line, I did not consider, yo, whose daughter do they have? Like you said, the lack of concern. Like, oh, I ain't got no daughter. He bangs on them. They just mad because I'm a baller.
You're just picking up some little girl. Like, where you can't just drop her back. You caught a kidnapping case for no reason. Like,
oh man,
that is do your research.
That's phenomenal. That's a great point. Oh, moving on. We have to agree that first one, and like we said with the second one, starts out strong. Without order, nothing exists. Without chaos, nothing evolves. All right, I'm with you. Like this is dope. But just the randomness of now get on your knees so I can stick this gun in your mouth is what's like, But fair enough. Okay, last two. Bitch, I'm counting. Yeah, I'm counting. I ain't gotta count it. Got a money counter. I'll repeat that one more time because that took a minute.
I don't think you need to, but go ahead.
Bitch, I'm counting. Yeah, I'm money counting. I ain't gotta count it. Got a money counter. Okay? And the second one, never turning back. How you think I got here? Fuck, was that a deer?
Wow. Those are both equally horrible.
They're pretty bad.
They're both like those both make me want to stop listening. Like if I knew who they were, I'd probably stop listening to both of them. Just but you like the first one, you wasting so much time, like saying that you're gonna count the money when you obviously got a money counter. Like
exactly.
Do you not count it because like your money counter broke? Do you not have like enough money to put in the money counter? There's a lot of things that go into it. This other guy is talking about the deer that he just hit or that
exactly because he's never turning back.
So like he could have hit a person, a deer, like the.
You know what? Let's be honest here. That you bring up another good point. He says, "Fuck, was that a deer?" So he did hit something. If it was a deer, he would have known it was a damn deer because your car is wrecked.
Right. Like
you hit that deer, your car's done. You ain't going nowhere.
Again, it's this lack of concern about what's going on. Like,
well, look, fuck, was that a deer? There's a little concern.
Like, there's not no concern. Like, it's concern. Like, at this point, he probably done rolled over it. He can't look back to it, so it's not like it's more like a fuck. Did I hit a deer? Or like no, like fuck, is that a deer? Like there's no concern in it. So I think just I'm not that strong. Like I'm not gonna say math is my favorite subject because it's not. It's by far it's low on the totem pole. Indeed. But like math is a vital skill, and if you're just gonna waste your time trying to figure out saying that you can count, but you're not going to because you got a money counter,
exactly,
then like that got to be the worst bar. I'll go with the first one.
I completely agree. And it's not because, like you said, saying you can't count, but he's not even saying he can count. He says he is. So, bitch, I'm counting. Yeah. Then he confirms, right? Yeah, I'm money counting. But then he goes, I ain't gotta count it. Got a money counter. Well, okay, so you are counting it, but you don't have to. So will you be counting it in the future?
Probably not.
I don't know what your stance is. Or did you just waste money on the money counter that you're not using because you're counting?
Some people got money like that.
Yeah, like I feel like this guy's an asshole. He doesn't know what to do with his life. He's going to count it, or he's going to use the money counter, or he's just going to buy the money counter to say he has a money counter, but still count his money without using the money counter.
He just made me upset.
So I don't like this guy, whoever he is. I'm with you. He's the shits, and he has the worst lyric out of the two. All right, last one. Make a movie with your bitch. Steven Spiel nigga. Or she said my dick could be the next black president.
It's definitely the second, because that first one, that old Wayne.
It is. I'm surprised. Yeah, you know. I only know it's Wayne because both the old Wayne Johns, they actually credit it to him.
Like I know if there's old Wayne,
you got it.
It's during that period when I listened to him. Like I could spot a Wayne lyric, but that second one, I just don't know what to say to that. So I'll chalk it. That one is the worst.
I think they're both terrible, but you know what? I can't even pick out the two, and that's why I asked you. So thank you for that. That was our little worst rap lyric segment. That might have to return. We'll see though. We'll see how the people like that. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I did. Maybe next time we do it like a best rap lyric.
Maybe. That's tough though. But yeah, maybe we do. Maybe we do. Though I feel like worse is easier because you can just pull out different lyrics. You know, you can pick out some really dope lyrics in a whack song though. So should we do best lyrics or maybe best verses?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to say.
I do have a question for you.
Okay.
It's not hip hop related, but it kind of is. It's more of like a black culture thing. So, currently, and I don't think it'll change anytime soon, Childish Gambino has disappeared.
Okay.
And he's coming out with a new TV series, but we're still waiting on music.
Okay.
And Frank Ocean is playing with my emotions and just refuses.
Apparently, he doesn't think so far ahead.
He does not think so far ahead, and I'm stuck listening to Channel Orange.
Yeah.
Which is still great, but it's making me sad. So, if you had to pick between the two, which project would you prefer to drop first?
Frank Ocean all day.
Frank Ocean all day?
Not a Childish Gambino fan. I suppose on certain tracks he can rap. I suppose maybe I could give him that, but... And I'm not going to pretend I've heard his whole damn discography, far from it. I've heard a few tracks here and there. I don't care. I don't care. I think... I'm not even going to... I was going to say I think he should stick to acting. Who am I to say? Whatever. He can do whatever he wants. He's a solid actor. So whatever he does, I'm sure he'll do well with it. Regardless of what I think of his rapping. But as a rapper, I could care less. Frank Ocean, I didn't listen to full Channel Orange, but the dude can sing. Talented man. Has written some songs that I do enjoy. I just referenced with that joke, Thinking About You, right? Think About You. I like the Novocaine John. I like the Pyramids John too. So if I'm going to listen to one of them, it's definitely going to be Frank Ocean. It's not going to be Childish Gambino.
If I had to pick one... even though Frank Ocean hasn't come out with his album per se, he's been on other people's albums and he's been featured on other albums. I had just Childish Gambino has fallen off the face of the earth, and because of the internet and his previous mixtapes have they've gotten me through just different points in my life, and I'm like, yo, you gotta make some more music. So there's been talk about him being done with Childish Gambino and even or just rapping under his regular name or whatever, or making music under his regular name. But whatever the case, I would have to pick Childish Gambino to come out with something new out of the two of them.
Wow, I'm surprised by that. But is it just Frank because the lack of any recent material? Yeah.
Just lack of recent material.
Right. You've heard more of Frank Ocean recently.
Yeah, it's been a year or maybe a little bit more since Childish Gambino's last mixtape. But Frank doesn't drop mixtapes. He did one a long time ago, and I think I forget the name offhand. It might have been Nostalgia, but he did one a long time ago. So, but his mixtapes aren't as frequent. So I'm going with Childish Gambino.
Fair enough. I mean, yeah, if you're a fan, why not?
I am.
Indeed. I mean, I guess. I remember you played a John of his for me that he was singing, and I asked you who was singing on the track, and you said Childish Gambino. I was like, no, who's the singer though? And you said Childish Gambino. I'm like, nah, no way.
Telegraph Ave.
Yeah, and I'm like, so if he can actually sing like that live, because studio's a different thing, because he was in some high notes I didn't know he could hit. If he could sing like that live, then he's more talented than I even thought, because he can definitely act. If he can really sing like that, then he got that too, and a lot of people dig his rap music, so he's a talented dude. I'm not trying to take that away from him. But yeah, like I said earlier, personally don't care. I haven't listened to much hip-hop recently. I used to listen crazy. As of late, my interest has kind of fallen off. So out of all the people I would be listening to, it definitely wouldn't be him.
Sure.
But it is what it is. All right, so now that we've gotten that cleared, I've got something to throw back at you. Now, me personally, I don't care. So this is just my I guess my somewhat interest in perhaps the longevity of both and where you think they'll go. And as someone who listens to both their music, Future and Fetty Wap both blew up pretty significantly last year, right? More so than they previously had. I mean, Fetty Wap pretty much came, at least to my knowledge, and I don't really know, but it seemed to me came on the scene and popped right away. Future has been on the scene for a minute, but the most impact he's had was last year, right? Would you say that's fair? Or no?
He's been more prominent with his music as of lately. So, because of the steady stream and the consistency of like Future just dropping stuff, so he had What a Time to Be Alive. Then he dropped his several mixtapes, and he had Evol, and just a steady stream of music. And he's saying he's coming out with more albums, or he has enough to make like 2 or 3 more albums. So he has a steady stream of music, but he's like my co-host has said, he's been out on the scene for a minute. So what's your question?
So here's my question. We've seen, and I'm going to preface it with this statement. We've seen pop stars come and go. Mm-hmm. We've seen rock stars come and go.
Right.
I don't pay attention to country, but I'm sure there have been certain country artists get on the scene real quick and then you're off. It just happens in music all the time. Mm-hmm. Who do you think is going to have the most longevity? Is Fetty Wap going to stick around longer, or is it going to be Future?
I think if Future slows down on his music, then he has the better chance of longevity than Fetty Wap, only because Future, like, he has songs that like stick. So March Madness, whenever I think of March Madness, I think of like the basketball tournament, and then it gets me hype. And then you still have like What a Time to Be Alive, which is, I don't know where it's at right now. I think it's at gold. It might be a little bit more than that. But his music, like in terms of longevity, will sustain itself just because of the hits that he's made. Fetty Wap has been successful in his own right, because even how they're counting record sales now, they've included streaming. So not SoundCloud, but like the different streaming sites, Spotify and.
Well, SoundCloud does stream though, right?
Yeah,
but they don't count it.
They don't. I don't think it's for albums.
Oh, okay.
So, but like Spotify and the other streaming sites, those are counted towards album like listens or album sales or whatever. I don't know how they actually qualify it, but he surpassed like a significant portion or a significant milestone with his streaming and with his albums. And like, to get myself hype in the morning, I love Fetty Wap.
Yeah, man. Sorry if I just blew out your ears, everybody. But
I wanted to do it, but I wasn't going to do it.
And I only do that because of him. For the record, again, I barely listen to hip hop. You wouldn't think I'd be listening to Fetty Wap, and I don't. But being in the car with this man for extended periods of a time, I've heard a decent share of Fetty Wap. And while lyrically, there's nothing to talk about. And if anybody were to argue that with me, I don't know what you're listening to. There's no denying that he does make catchy music. He has some nice melodies in there. I ain't mad at him. So he's fun to sing, listen around to if you're not trying to be taking anything seriously.
Yeah, but Fetty Wap, like he get everything going. Like he get you hyped this, that, and the third. But I think that if Future slows down with his music and he just it's still consistent, but it's less of a volume, he'll have a longer career than Fetty Wap. Mm-hmm.
That's fair enough. I'm not sure. I feel like because Future is more of the rapper, his career probably does have more potential for more longevity than the auto-tuned singing pop star. And you can say Fetty Wap, if you want to classify him as a rapper, as R&B, whatever, and you are mad at me calling him a pop star, at this point, with as hot as he got, the amount of times his records were being, I was going to say spun, but they don't spin records anymore because it's all digital, being played over the air, with the crossovers with, I think he was in a song with some chick, like a famous pop star. It was a David Guetta track. You know, because David Guetta is the DJ. I don't remember who the chick was.
Yeah, I know
but like making that type of crossover, that man's a pop star. At least right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like because Future, I kind of put him in the same class as Fetty Wap, but I guess because he's looked at more traditionally as a rapper, I'm using that term loosely because my understanding of hip hop and the way I listen to it and who I consider MCs and whatnot, I'm not counting either of these two dudes. But with that being said, excuse my dog in the background. With that being said, I think because Future's looked at as more of a rapper, there's probably more potential for his career to last a little bit longer. Especially since because Fetty Wap is the singer with the auto-tune, how long is that going to last? When he's older, is he going to be able to sell out shows with that?
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like, and this is just me personally, there's a chance that none of these dudes have much longevity because their music is so current. And their music isn't trying to be, like everything, 90s hip-hop was very current in the 90s, and for some people it might be a little played out. You can definitely, it has such a different flavor, it's definitely older, but we still hold it in high regard when we're talking about the greatest rappers ever. You can still go back to that, even if you don't mess with the beats as much, and I love those beats. You listen to them lyrics, that's still being held in high esteem. Fetty Wap and Future ain't trying to be the greatest in anything. They're just trying to make hot records, and I ain't mad at it. But that's the reality of the situation. So, will we be able to look back in those records in the future like we can do with a Mobb Deep, a Biggie, a Tupac, etc., a Nas, a Jay-Z? You can go on down the list. I don't think so, because I think at some point it'll just be looked at as played out pop music. But I could be wrong.
Only time will tell.
Yeah, only time will tell. So, with that, all that being said, we're wrapping up the show right now. Hopefully you get a bit of a flavor of what this show's going to be like. To recap, we both think Golden State wins this series. We both, I believe, picked Cleveland to win tonight, right?
I think we both.
Yeah. But again, I don't think none of us would be surprised if it goes to 3-0. So you've got that. We may return with the worst rap lyrics. We may return with better rap lyrics. We might take a break from that and bring that back at a later time. But anyway, this is the first episode /test run. Hope you all enjoyed it, and we're out of here.
As always,